Hello, and welcome to episode 79 of Bodied, the Cloud9 Fancast. Tonight, we don't have a lot to go on, but we will be discussing Cloud9's H1Z1 roster announcement, some match results including CSGO and Rocket League, and the NALCS Finals, and anything that falls in between. I'm your host, Havokpus, and today I'm joined by Frozen Craig.
Hello. I'm not back from the dead. I was here last week, but I'm also here this week. Wait, was I? No, I was here last week.
I'm pretty
right?
sure you were. Yeah, it was just me and you again.
Here last week. Yeah, I was here last week.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to that trombone guy who does the audio for us every week.
Yep, he is super good.
He's always here.
He's always there for us.
Having our back.
Well, Frozen, we don't have a lot going on since it's the off season for a bunch of things. You know, League of Legends is down, at least for Cloud9. CSGO is waiting on its next big event, and not much else is happening. But we got some stuff to talk about, and I suppose we should open with Cloud9 announcing their H1Z1 roster. So I'm not sure if you folks out there remember, but Cloud9 made a kind of a puzzling announcement in that they were going to participate in the H1Z1 Pro League. It takes place in Las Vegas and will be streamed through Facebook. I know. But one thing we were kind of wondering was, what would the roster look like? Is it just going to be the PUBG guys and they're just going to be playing H1Z1? What's the deal? Well, they've answered our question finally. So Cloud9 has signed Adren, Imperial Howl, and Flower to accompany Cloud9 PUBG players Frex and Chappie in their H1Z1 Pro League adventures. Adren, I believe, played for Luminosity on their PUBG team, and I can't remember where I've heard Flower from, but I remember hearing about Flower from somewhere. So we have some really talented guys, plus you have Chappie and Frex, who are, you know, they basically played with us before. It's not like they're new signings. They're just switching over to a different game. But they're both cool guys. I really like Chappie. He's cool. So
Do we know if I assume that they're just gonna be committing all their time to H1Z1, then they're not gonna be on the PUBG roster, then I assume.
yes, so I would assume that Chappie and Frex will be 100% putting in H1Z1 time. And that would leave a fourth spot open for Cloud9, I believe. I am unsure how they will fix it unless Frex is just going to play with them on online events, and then we'll figure something out later for LAN stuff, which doesn't happen too often, to be honest. But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a solution there. Maybe he just plays in the short term. But it is exciting to have a new team. We haven't really seen anything new in a while, really, I feel like. The last news we really had team-wise was Vainglory dropping out, I believe. Oh,
well, we have the
Royale.
Clash. Yeah, we have the Clash Royale team, but no information on that has been given outside from we will have a team.
I feel like this is a little bit bigger of a deal, but I have no clue what the Clash Royale scene is like, so I guess
neither do I.
We'll just find out soon.
I think it's growing, though. I know that a bunch of other organizations have teams. I forgot which ones they were, but it seems that like they were big name organizations. It wasn't like a tiny one. It was maybe like Splice or something, or maybe Immortals. I can't remember, but you know, more and more are buying into Clash Royale because mobile is a pretty up and coming area. So you have to at least have one mobile esports team.
Yeah, I feel like the resources for it can't be that large either, which might make it a little bit easier to get into.
Right? Like all you need is like a phone and I would assume Wi-Fi or something. So
Yeah, like there's no like training facilities and stuff. Like they
yeah,
don't
you can
require a
just do it
ton of
from your
coaching like
bedroom.
Yeah, like League of Legends or CS:GO. So I don't know. I mean, it's whatever. I'll watch it a little bit when it starts, but I know more about Clash Royale than I do H1Z1. So I'm excited to watch that too. I feel like we had an H1Z1 player at one point in time, but I could just be
Chappie, I
misremembering
believe
things.
Chappie originally got his start on H1Z1, but then he switched over to PUBG. Our Battle Royale team has been very interesting because we actually started in H1Z1, but then PUBG came out and everyone was playing
I thought
PUBG.
so.
So Jack was like, okay, we're gonna play PUBG now, and now we're moving back to H1Z1 kind of.
Yeah, I wonder how flexible they are to go between the two games. I mean, I can't imagine it's insanely different.
Yeah, I mean it's literally like the same game since like the same person worked on both. So outside of I suppose how like drops work and maybe some other tiny things, I think how you play the game is probably way similar. I mean there shouldn't be too much of a barrier I would imagine, considering they're the same genre as well as basically the same game except maybe having some different guns and some slight variations on some things. But yeah, the H1Z1 Pro League comes out April 21st, so mark your calendars for that and get ready for some fun. So I guess we should move on to CSGO stuff. So with the addition of FNS, Cloud9 has only dropped a few maps. I believe it's like 4 now, with the fiasco that was Renegades tonight. Um, and I'm kind of curious how they're doing so far, and in terms of what they can accomplish, because it seems that FNS may be able to bring some better strategic thinking, as well as maybe open up our players to more consistency and maybe even elevate their play a little bit. But in terms of him as a personal player, I'm not sure if he is a high enough level to really pull his weight when it counts. I remember seeing from what matches I did watch, there were some points where he couldn't really clutch out. There were times when some goofy shit just happened, and you're like, what are you guys doing? It seems weird. I know people in the CSGO community say like, well, online doesn't matter. These little online matches mean nothing. They're probably just trying out strats, which is fine. I really don't care. But when it comes to, LAN events and big tournaments and stuff, is he going to be able to pull his own weight, or is it basically going to be a 4v5 and it's going to cause problems?
Yeah, I feel like in the short term, I mean, most likely the long term too. It's not exactly a step up from what the old roster was. Something else that has been confirmed for the roster, I think, is everybody spamming the noodle for Skadoodle brought him back for the summer. So they performed well against not Immortals.
Immortals
The first
doesn't
game
have
they
a
put-
team currently. They're
Shit, who am I thinking? SK Gaming.
SK.
Gaming. When they played against the Trader at the time,
Snake
when they
2K
beat
himself.
them. Yeah. So the roster's experience, they've dropped maps that they probably shouldn't have against teams they shouldn't have. But yeah, like you said, I guess you can't read too much into online tournaments, though it is disappointing to see them lose. But one of the real tests is coming up soon with DreamHack.
Yeah, I think. I think it's important to get all the kinks worked out as quickly as possible. And I think with Skadoodle staying at least for the short term, in terms of probably I guess the summer season, it at least allows everyone to have some consistency, and you can actually build a foundation off of. It's not like, you have Skadoodle for like a week or something, and then, oh, now you have to know how to play with like Cirque or whoever the hell was rumored to be signed at the time as C9's fifth. It at least allows everyone to get really comfortable with how, the team is structured now, and they can try strats and see what works and see what doesn't, and all this other stuff. I suppose my only worry is that it might take a while, or they may just not be able to improve as much. The C9's situation in general is very puzzling to me, because it seems like they're just getting screwed over by timing, because they will constantly, sign a player for like, okay, you're going to play for us for like 3 years or something. And then they go, yeah, hey, so I got this offer for this other team. Can I go play with them? And they're like, what? Okay. And then they have to scramble to find a new player, and sometimes that, that just creates downgrades, because the market is not, it's not at a place where you can really make offers, because you went off on the assumption that the player who signed the contract with you will stay, and then they turn the tables and say they're not, and now you're in a panic. So I guess I don't know, it's weird. I just want Cloud9 to be able to field players that are good. I'm not sure if it's a money issue, or if it is, a timing issue, or what. It just kind of is a bit frustrating that we sometimes, I guess, have to choose for someone that's potentially not as good, even though, I went into a whole thing last episode on giving players some chances, and I'm totally going to, but I'm rambling. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess don't dive too much into it, because I was going to talk a little bit about it at the end of the episode as our extra discussion.
Okay.
Regarding Stewie and a couple of the other esports and money and such, and players leaving. So I'm going to stop you there.
All right.
Just
yes,
because
please.
you're going to
Control me.
end up talking about it in the end. So I guess move on to Rocket League.
All right. So Rocket League has been tearing it up in the RLCS Frozen. The team has been looking hot. They only lost to G2, which, to be fair, is probably them, and NRG and Cloud9 are basically the top 3 favorites for winning playoffs. Those 3 teams, exceptional Rocket League teams. Everyone is super talented, and I gotta say, I really love watching this team, just because they knocked the rust off. I believe it was when RLCS first started. They looked kind of rusty. After that, they looked really good. They were hitting all these really great goals. They're defending really well. They're back in the motions, and they are firing on all cylinders, and I love it.
I'll be honest, I still don't think I've seen a Rocket League game yet, which is extremely disappointing. I don't think I get the updates to my phone, which is why I don't actually hear about them in advance. So I'm going to have to do a better job watching it, because Rocket League is like the most fun game, I feel like, despite how frustrating it is. Like, it's really easy to have fun in it when a lot of other games feel like a grind. So I'm sorry, Rocket League. I'm sorry, Cloud9.
Yeah, I have Strafe, and Strafe, I believe, has, at least for me, I have it, so, I chose to follow the Rocket League team, and it shows up on my little schedule what matches I have for when, and I get notifications for it, so maybe try that. I'm not sure what you use, but I like Strafe just because of how it's designed, as well as the notifications are pretty prompt, and they don't mess up a lot, so.
Yeah, I was having trouble with Strafe, so I might have to look back into it again, but I might just have to update some of my settings on the Score Esports app too. So if anybody else has an opinion on which app they prefer to use for esports and Cloud9 specifically, I guess let me know. I think it'd be really sweet if they came out with their own app.
Oh yeah,
But
like a
maybe I'm
legit Cloud9 app. So like
yeah
you can have like matches, you can have information on all the rosters, you can have a place to like look at the store. Maybe also like a little portal that takes you to their Twitch streams and shows whenever they're live. Like, I think that would be actually super cool. It would probably cost a little bit to develop. If I knew coding, I would totally do it for free, no question. But
don't
I
say that
cannot.
it's not worth it. Yeah, I think it'd be sweet. Cause I think the first goal should be to fix their website because there is a lot that they need to fix with the functionality, with all the scores and schedules and stuff on their website before they make an app. But I think it'd be really cool if they could get it all working, to have all the schedules going up and such. I know in the past people have made like RSS feed calendar kind of things to sync with iPhones. I know it hasn't exactly, or no, I know it wasn't for Cloud9 specifically, but I know it happens with soccer. Like it even catches all of the rescheduling and stuff. So I think it'd be really cool just to have some kind of notification to my phone saying that Rocket League is playing,
Oh
or
yeah, that would
that
be
H1Z1 is playing. So if there's someone
yeah.
out there who's smarter than me and knows how to do it, tell me, and I can try and set that up too.
Yeah, I know that everyone keeps asking for a calendar like on the website, like an official, event calendar. And last time I heard about it, I think they're still working on it. It's one of those weird work in progress things. Um, but I
I
think
mean,
that would be super cool.
I think it's mad that it's not there. Like that's just so wild to me.
It's a weird
But
issue. I know
what do
that
I?
I know that without saying too much, I think the mods of the Cloud9 Discord have mentioned it on occasion, and it's sort of a no-no word. But that's all I'll delve into it for now, so I don't get in trouble.
Yeah, I guess it's only 2018 and they do not have the technology yet.
Yeah, it'll take a few years. But let's move
But yeah,
on
let's
to
yeah.
talking about Overwatch. So London kicked off stage 3, and they did it with some losses. There was a close one against their Kryptonite, the Houston Outlaws, and then they just got rolled against the NYXL. It was sad. I was sad, Frozen. I was upset all weekend. It wasn't fun.
No, and I feel like it doesn't get any easier this week. I didn't exactly get a chance to watch it a real time. I did watch a little bit, and I feel like the team hasn't gotten any better through the year. Like if anything, they've regressed. And to me, that's kind of the most disappointing thing. Like losing Bishop, I think the team kind of lost the organization in a way, and you can kind of see it with just how the front line, back line, and divers kind of play together. So I'm hoping for an improved result, at least against Miami, but Philly's a really tough team for us also.
I mean, to be fair, this is an issue that they've had ever since the start of the season, actually. Their lack of coordination between the tanks and the healers has always been there. I think that for the first stage, everyone was really feeling each other out, and I think Spitfire gained a lot of confidence and a little bit of overconfidence because they were doing really successful stuff, and they were crushing it, and they had a full 12-man roster. But then what happened? For some oddball reason that still hasn't really been fully explained, Fisher and Rascal are let go to other teams. They, they lose the their stage 2 playoff maps to Philly, and they've just ever since then. I mean, really since the beginning, but I think more so in stages 2 and 3, have just been really struggling to find some kind of consistency that has been really escaping them. I know Suzy Kim, and I mentioned this on the dogfight, which everyone should check out, by the way. I mentioned on the dogfight that Suzy Kim did say that eventually they will announce a new coach. I'm not sure if it's a head coach or an assistant coach or what, but they will be getting another coach soonish. So maybe that will help. I don't know. In my opinion, they need to get another DPS player and someone who is, consistent and can play at a high level. I know Hureg actually did work against the NYXL, but it was certainly not enough. And I think that's kind of the problem. Birdring can pop off, but then Birdring does what he did last week and really struggles. Hureg can pop off, but sometimes he'll just play mediocre. And, it's definitely an issue.
Yeah, and it's wild to say that with a DPS line of Prophet and Birdring, but I do think that having someone to rotate in and at least challenge them and keep them sharp would be important. And
I think it would also take some stress off.
Have to figure out the support situation. I mean, I don't know so much about the stress of it, but
well, I mentioned it.
I do think that they also need someone to help just keep them sharp and maybe has a different point of view per se. So,
well, I mentioned it because since there's only 3 of them, Prophet basically always has to be in. So there's not a lot of chance to where Prophet gets subbed out. So he basically has to kind of be the DPS backbone in a sense. Birdring is super strong, but he's inconsistent, and he's probably worried that, well, if he's not playing well, they'll put in Hureg, who also hasn't played, consistently at a super high level either. So maybe, that's on their minds, and they don't want to mess up so badly that they get subbed out and then have to worry about certain uncertainties. So I think that at least with a fourth you can do internal scrims, and you don't have to do this mess where you're probably having to sub in your coach or one of your coaches to play with you and other stuff like that. I think it's just, I don't know why they didn't get one before the deadline for the season. It seemed weird.
Yeah, but before we move on, I just want to add that London is actually 3rd place in Overwatch League right now overall. They are tied for last for the stage, but that's not a significant really, because the 2 losses last week were actually more than a quarter of our season losses total. So we're still in pretty good shape. We're tied with Seoul for 2nd. They just have the tiebreaker, I assume, based on games won.
Well, I think if it's head to head, then we beat Seoul because we've beaten them both times.
Actually, they might actually get they might actually be above us just because we're in technically different divisions. I think we're Atlantic Division and they're Pacific Division. I think that's why.
Who knows?
So I think that's why they have a first round bye. As of right now, that's my best estimation to why.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it at that, and everyone can come to their own conclusions. Moving on, we have some tiny League of Legends stuff to talk about. So I guess the first one that actually affects Cloud9 is that Wiggly has announced free agency. He was the jungler for the Academy team and has announced free agency. I'm not too shocked by this, and I think it's not even that big news. I think that, he played really well in the Academy lineup. He was a pretty good jungler for the most part, I guess. and he's looking to get an LCS spot. That's literally what Academy is about. It's training players to get LCS ready or get players who are already LCS ready into teams. And Wiggly wants to do that. And I don't blame him. And also, Cloud9 has Blabberfish, who looked really good at this year's scouting grounds. You know, we still have him. They were really, I think, waiting on him because he wanted to finish school first. Like, he needed to finish school before he could play with them full time or anything. So Wiggly was starting / filling in for Blabberfish. But he is now done. He's looking for free teams. So that's that news.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's gonna go, honestly. I don't think he's LCS ready yet, so he's probably just gonna get stuck in the Academy League again. So maybe they just chose to stick with Babblefish and let Wiggly go, but don't know. It's kind of weird, but maybe they just have faith in Babblefish as opposed to Wiggly. So I guess we'll find out what the future holds.
Blabberfish looked really good from what I remember, and he seemed to be pretty good. I think it's mostly just a thing of waiting for him to, be available more with, for full-time commitment. And I think it's, I mean, I'm not looking too far into this. I think it's whatever. If Wiggly wants to leave Cloud9 and be a more independent player and try to get into LCS or maybe get on a different organization that maybe offers him a bit more, who knows. But I'm not too worried.
Yeah. What did you think about the LCS finals?
It was...
So TL beat the shit out of 100 Thieves. It was 3-0.
It was actually kind of boring just because of how one-sided it was. I was hoping for like a super close match that I could like really talk about and get excited for and be like, oh, everyone's playing so well, everyone's just one-upping each other in terms of like plays and it's going back and forth and it's amazing. It was basically just Impact, Xmithy, and Pobelter running a train on 100 Thieves, and Doublelift and Ole were just kind of there to help.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I think it was game 3. Someday had the Gnar, and they ended up getting a gank or two onto Impact, and they just didn't snowball at all. They didn't even try and push their lead, and Team Liquid did a really good job. Team Liquid did a really good job getting objectives when they probably shouldn't have, but 100 Thieves just look bad. They just look totally outclassed, and it's kind of worrying in a way that they were able to get this far. And I think it puts into perspective Clutch Gaming's skill since they lost to 100 Thieves, kind of. But seeing the performance that they put on was actually kind of disappointing because I don't think Team Liquid was necessarily quite as good as they looked after the final.
Yeah, I think also it puts into perspective our own play when you look at how the playoffs ended up shaping out, and I'd say the closest match Team Liquid had was probably against C9. It kind of puts things into perspective, even though, Team Liquid 3-0'd us and they also 3-0'd 100 Thieves, but when you look at how they 3-0'd, Cloud9 was making it super competitive, and they only won because they played fights a little better in really close situations, whereas with 100 Thieves, they basically just kind of sat back, and if 100 Thieves had the advantage, which was rare, they would just wait for their moment and then patiently turn the tables, whereas with Cloud9, they would often put themselves in this corner, and they would just happen to play situations a little better than us because they had more experienced players. So I think that from that perspective at least, it makes me feel a little bit better.
I mean, it doesn't really make me feel that much better because they still beat beat the shit out of us, despite giving us
Yeah, but
huge
they beat the shit
advantages.
out
So
of us
that's kinda,
less than 100 Thieves.
I mean, I don't. I don't think it's worth comparing because they beat the shit out of both of us, and both of us should be disappointing. I guess was kind of written in the stars that Team Liquid was going to be the fourth team to win an LCS championship, so
They'll never escape that meme, no matter how hard they try.
yeah, and it puts us in an interesting place for MSI. We now have Team Liquid. We have Fnatic. Do we have the Korean and Chinese team yet?
No, I think those. I think those playoffs are
weekend.
maybe this weekend or
I'm
start.
pretty
this
sure
weekend.
the LCK final is this weekend, so I assume the Chinese one is either this weekend or next weekend, because
Yeah, I
they
think
did
so.
take, I think,
Their schedules
maybe 2
are
weeks
weird.
off for. China had a week or two off for the Chinese New Year, so
Oh yeah, that's right.
that really threw them off. I think it's going to be interesting. I think we can talk a little bit more about it right before it starts. But seeing a Team Liquid and Fnatic coming out of the West is going to be kind of cool because they have definitely looked like the two best team. It's not like they made some a miracle run at the last a second and they're going to get like a shit on or something. So.
Oh yeah,
They looked like the best team for the past couple of weeks.
They 100% deserve those spots. I don't think anyone is arguing with you there. I think it's mostly going to be, can they hold their own against Korea, which really is the only region that they have to worry about. Honestly, I mean, I think that Team Liquid and Fnatic can probably take on whatever Team China sends. China is more or less equal to the other Western teams. I think Korea is the only issue. And I think I don't want to say we have a shot, but I think we have a decent chance considering the amount of experience and skill that Team Liquid has. I mean, Doublelift is, I think after finals, probably the best AD carry in NA. People could argue, but I think that he's just cemented his legacy as the best for now until some new face really comes along. They have Pobelter, who is definitely a great mid laner, top 3 for sure. Xmithy is super smart at jungling, as well as being able to turn it on and fight when you need to fight and be clever when you need to be clever. Impact is, I don't even need to talk about. And they have Ole, who is just a brilliant support when it comes to making really aggressive clutch plays that no one really sees coming. So I think they have a really good mix of brains and brawn to kind of give other teams a run for their money.
The only thing I really want to see is EDG to make the tournament so we can get a sword versus shield top lane battle.
Yes.
Between
oh my
Impact
god, that
and
would
Ray.
be so cool to see Ray and Impact go at it as former teammates.
Yeah, and I guess I haven't followed China all too much, but I'm pretty sure it's possible. I know EDG's been really good this year, and Ray's been has played a huge part in their success this year. So I would love to see Ray show up to MSI indefinitely Worlds. I wish he'd go back on Twitch, but alas, he's probably gone forever, and now we're just stuck waiting for Kindboy Rush to show up, who got his ass kicked in LCK this weekend.
Never get excited for KT
weekend.
Frozen. That's the rule.
I know. Even if Rush is playing,
exactly.
Still
Even if Rush is playing,
get excited.
Exactly.
So,
I think. Oh, never mind. I actually
had a
didn't have
topic.
a point.
Oh,
You go ahead.
okay. I have a topic of discussion. If we're ready to move on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was something
Yep.
in our Cloud9. I guess they posted it a day ago, and I think the idea of the post has a good point to it. I don't think a lot of people took well to it, but it was posted by Fated Titan. He said, she said, well, Jack's quote, "be nice to players," unquote, attitude hurt C9 in the long run. The post was mostly about League in a way, and also the Stewie 2K thing. He just says that he or she says that we've had multiple players across different games and multi-year contracts break the contracts without any repercussions because Jack seems to, quote, "be a nice guy." So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that this kind of wielding and dealing is good for the org in the short or long term?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think it kind of depends. It's sort of a gray area. I think that on the plus side, you are keeping an environment that is free of any sort of confrontation or bad morale. In the case of Stewie, he got offered to play for SK Gaming, which is another top CSGO team. I don't think anyone would refuse to play for them. It was one of those things where like, well, you can see where this offer goes and it can really open up your career. You can improve and play alongside some really great players and really try to improve yourself and all that. Or you can stay on Cloud9, you can maybe improve, you can maybe not. Your team is struggling, you and your team are struggling with consistency. So, you can try to battle that more, or you can try to grow more individually instead of trying to grow as a team still. With the contracts thing, it's also weird. I think he had starry-eyed views of NBA money, but I think for team morale it's good because no one's upset over like, man, I could be getting paid a lot more, or I could be on SK Gaming and I could be doing all this other cool stuff. But I can't because I'm in contract jail and I'm not allowed to maybe live up to my full potential because of it. So I think in that way it's relieving a lot of confrontation, and I think that it can be very good. But on the other hand, it is kind of dumb when you're giving away strong players or like up and coming players like contracts because they want to get out on the deal that they already signed. I think that it requires a delicate touch. If you're going to release your player, maybe have a better backup plan and not just assume that just because they put pen to paper doesn't mean they're going to back out, because this has happened twice now. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So maybe just do a better job of kind of planning for the future and assuming like, okay, well, we have them for now, but they could back out, and we need to ensure that we are at least taken care of. I don't know, it's weird, but I think it's a difficult topic for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of counteract a little bit of what you said, you were talking about how you don't want to hold someone into a contract when they could be playing for a team like SK or something. But like, what does that say to the other players that are already on the team, like Automatic and such? Like, oh, if somebody comes and talks to me and offers me money and such, like I could just leave. Like, they don't care about building a team for the future. Like, we just won a major and people are bailing ship. So like, why should I stay, and why should I care if like I could just leave whenever I wanted? And like, that could be also flipped to League of Legends. Like, if Jack is just willing to throw away impact and contracts,
Well,
Or like
Impact is different.
what?
Impact is different because his contract ran out and Impact was free to explore offers, and Steve offered him probably like $1 million or something. That was money that Jack either couldn't get because he just blew 30 million on Overwatch League and NALCS or whatever. So or
Yeah,
also
but
Impact didn't
if
want to spend time like share time with Licorice, so
yeah,
it
but
was different.
yeah, but if Jack isn't willing to invest into the squad, then why should Jensen stay? Like he could go back to EU and be a starting mid on G2 or Splice or something and win championships. So like there is a balance between it. Like you have to be able to balance winning and staying in business, and I think at this point it almost seems like we're more trying to stay in business than we're focusing on winning. Like we haven't won an LCS championship since what, season 5? We won a major and we're already starting to dismantle the team. So like those, I get what he's saying because we made it. We were really close to making it to semifinals in Worlds last year, and we dismantled the team. So I see where the guy's coming from, or the guy or girl is coming from, because it doesn't feel like we are making the moves to make Cloud9 an elite organization in all of esports in a way. If you can just jump ship, whenever you want. I mean, I assume we got good money from SK for Stewie, and I do really like Licorice, so I mean, I'm personally okay with Licorice being there, but like there is a whole team aspect to losing players. Like us losing Stewie doesn't just impact Stewie. Like maybe we have to offer him more money. Maybe we have to ask for more money from SK, but it also impacts the players that are already there. Like why wouldn't Automatic or something just leave at their next offer if Cloud9 is just willing to cash in whenever someone comes for one of their players. Like I know I'm rambling now, but like I do think that this person makes a really good point bringing up the topic, because it's something that happens a lot in soccer. Like you don't want to be the team that's known as a selling team, because then you're just a stepping stone and players can come in, and other bigger teams can just come in and buy your players whenever they want, and then you never get a chance to build something special.
Yeah, I think that maybe Jack might also be trying to, I don't know, maybe do some experimentation with how some teams are going, instead of just buying imports and trying to get talent that is already battle tested. Maybe he wants to sort of grow more talent and ensure that the talent can stay for longer. Like with Licorice, he's a rookie, but he has the potential to be a super good top laner with time and everything. So that ensures us at least maybe 3 years of Licorice playing for us. That with FNS playing, it allows for Cloud9 to have more cerebral play, and therefore we can play smarter and get more consistent. It's I don't know, it's weird. I think that it's definitely something that can be argued back and forth for a while, but I think at the end of the day, you just have to kind of go with the flow and hope that Cloud9 can do the right things and ultimately be successful.
I think in some ways it would help if they would leak like some of the details when a player leaves. Like if we were to know if that SK Gaming paid Cloud9 $5 million to negotiate a contract with Stewie. Like, I think that would ease a lot of people's feelings. But like, we did talk a little bit about Licorice. But what's to stop a team like Team Liquid, who's willing to just throw stupid money at people, from buying Licorice in 2 years when Impact retires, and Licorice is like a legitimate like top 4 top lane, or like it seems that a lot of precedents are being set that I think that people have a right to be worried about the long term.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I think that, I mean, at that point, it just comes down to C9 needing to do a better job at getting more investors and getting more money in. That's more of a business end than a performance end or anything. But I think we've drawn out this topic as long as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably add more, but I guess it's probably time to end it. We've gone a little bit longer than I was hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, excuse me. So, thank you, one and all, for listening to the 79th episode of Bodied, the Cloud9 Fancast. Feel free to tweet questions and feedback to us at C9Bodied or email us at bodiedfancast@gmail.com. We'll try to answer your questions and whatnot on the next podcast. Maybe, drop us a comment or two about the whole situation. We'll see. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you guys. Also check out Sneaky's pizza delivery Sivir cosplay. It's super sexy. That's it. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.